For nearly a century, one image has defined the pinnacle of success in the Western world: the American dream. It was a simple, powerful promise: a white picket fence, a manicured green lawn, and a front door key that belonged to you. It wasn't just a house. It was a fortress of stability, a guaranteed ticket to the middle class, and a legacy for the next generation. But as we step into 2025, that iconic image is beginning to flicker and fade. The dream that fueled the greatest economic expansion in history is transforming into something else. Something much more sinister: a well-designed financial nightmare. Walk through the suburbs of Austin, Phoenix, or Charlotte today, and you'll notice a strange new trend. The most financially literate generation in history, the smart, tech-savvy young Americans, are doing the unthinkable. They are walking away. They are turning their backs on homeownership. Critics call them lazy or entitled, but the data tells a different story. These people aren't failing. They are making a calculated choice. They are looking at the math that their parents ignored, and they've realized that the game is rigged. Is it just about high interest rates, or is there a deeper, hidden mechanism at play? Behind the scenes, the mechanics of property and debt have been rewritten by forces that prefer you to be a permanent renter in a corporate-owned world. While the media screams about a housing shortage, a much darker reality is being suppressed. From the boardrooms of Wall Street to the outdated systems of 20th century banking, the secret is out. Buying a home in today's market might be the fastest way to lose your financial freedom. Today, on Continental Secrets, we are pulling back the curtain. We are moving beyond the headlines to uncover the brutal truth about why the smartest people are no longer buying what the system is selling. From hidden five-figure costs to the death of the middle class, this is the investigation the housing industry doesn't want you to see. Welcome to the death of the American dream. To truly understand why the American dream is in a state of cardiac arrest, we have to look past the real estate brochures and dive into the cold, hard data. In 2023 and 2024, the U.S. housing market crossed a threshold that economists once thought impossible. An average American family earning a median income can now only afford 15% of the homes listed on the market. Let that sink in. In a country built on the promise of land ownership, 85% of the inventory is now effectively a no-go zone for the people who actually power the economy. But it's not just the price tag. It's the interest rate shock. Just 3 years ago, a 3% mortgage rate was the norm. Today, as we navigate through 2025, rates hovering between 6% and 7% have effectively doubled the lifetime cost of a home. For a $400,000 house, that difference in interest isn't just a few dollars, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars over 30 years. This isn't just inflation, it's a systematic pricing out of the middle class. To find the secret of why today feels so much harder, we have to compare it to the world of the baby boomers. In the 1,970 seconds and 80 seconds, the median home price was roughly 2.5 to 3 times the average annual household income. A single earner working a steady job could provide a roof, a yard, and a future. Fast forward to today, that ratio has exploded. In many major American cities, a home now costs 7, 8, or even 10 times the annual salary. While wages have crawled upward with a meager growth, housing costs have rocketed into the stratosphere. We are witnessing the death of the starter home. Those small, affordable houses that allowed young couples to build equity have been swallowed up. They've been replaced by luxury developments or bought out by institutional investors with bottomless pockets, leaving Gen Z and millennials to fight over the scraps. But here is the information the mainstream media rarely connects: the inventory trap. Smart Americans are noticing that they aren't just competing against other families, they are competing against Wall Street. Massive investment firms like BlackRock and State Street have funneled billions into residential real estate. Why? Because they know that if people can't afford to buy, they are forced to rent. By shrinking the supply of available homes for sale, these entities ensure that property values stay artificially high, while simultaneously creating a permanent class of renters. It's a double-edged sword. The harder it is for you to buy, the more profit they make from your monthly rent check. This is the math of misery, a cycle where the wealth of the next generation is being siphoned off before they even get a chance to start. Financial experts used to preach the 1% rule, that you should set aside 1% of your home's value every year for maintenance. But in 2025, that rule is dead. With the rising cost of labor and raw materials, keeping a home functional has become an unpredictable financial drain. Think about it. A modern HVAC system now costs upwards of $10,000. A new roof? Easily $20,000. These aren't if expenses. They are when expenses. While a renter simply calls a landlord when a pipe bursts, a homeowner watches their emergency fund evaporate in hours. Recent surveys show that nearly 40% of homeowners had to take on new credit card debt just to cover an essential home repair in the last year. This is the first layer of the invisible pit, the cost of simply keeping the walls standing. But there's a newer, more dangerous secret lurking in the shadows: the insurance crisis. In states like Florida, California, and Texas, home insurance premiums have spiked by 50% to 100% in just a few years. Why? Because the system is breaking. Insurance companies are pulling out of entire markets, leaving homeowners with two choices: pay an astronomical premium or risk losing everything in a disaster. This is a cost that many smart Americans saw coming. When your insurance payment starts to rival your mortgage payment, the math of homeownership doesn't just stop making sense, it becomes a suicide mission for your bank account. If you think you own your home, try not paying your HOA fees. Homeowners associations have evolved into a form of private shadow government. They don't just charge you for mowing the grass. They have the power to levy special assessments. Imagine waking up to a notice that you owe $30,000 immediately for a community project you didn't even vote for. If you can't pay, they can put a lien on your property and, in some states, even foreclose on your home. You are paying thousands of dollars a year for a committee of neighbors to tell you what you can and cannot do on your own land. It is the ultimate irony of the American dream, paying for the privilege of losing your freedom. Finally, we must talk about the opportunity cost. This is the secret that the wealthy understand, but the middle class is never told. When you put $100,000 down on a house, that money is dead. It's locked in bricks and mortar. If you had invested that same $100,000 in the S&P 500 20 years ago, it would likely be worth over $600,000 today without you ever having to fix a toilet or pay property tax. When you add up the interest, the taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance over 30 years, most homeowners realize they haven't made a profit. They've simply paid for an expensive forced savings account. Smart Americans have run the numbers. They've realized that in 2025, mobility and liquid cash are worth far more than the security of a 30-year debt contract. To understand why the current housing market feels like a trap, we have to travel back in time. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, the backbone of the American dream, wasn't a natural law. It was an invention. Created in the wake of the Great Depression and perfected after World War II, it was designed for a world that no longer exists. A world where a man could work at the same factory for 40 years, where inflation was a whisper, and where the government subsidized growth. In the 1,950 seconds, a mortgage was a ladder. Today, that same ladder is made of lead, and it's pulling the new generation underwater. But here is the secret the banks keep in the fine print: the amortization schedule. Most people think they are buying a home from day one. They aren't. In a standard 30-year mortgage at today's high interest rates, for the first 10 to 15 years, the vast majority of your monthly payment doesn't touch the house itself. It goes straight into the bank's profit margins as interest. You are essentially renting the house from the bank, but you are the one responsible for the leaky roof and the property taxes. Smart Americans have done the math. They realize that after 10 years of payments, they still barely own the front door. They are paying for an illusion of ownership while the bank reaps the actual rewards. The 20th century economy was built on stability, but the 21st century economy is built on mobility. Today's smart workforce moves where the opportunities are, from Austin to Silicon Valley, from New York to Dubai. But a 30-year mortgage is an anchor. It locks you into a single zip code. In a volatile job market, Being underwater on a mortgage or tied down by a 7% interest rate makes you a prisoner of your own property. While the media tells you that homeownership is freedom, those who understand the new economy know that liquidity and the ability to move in 24 hours is the ultimate power. The smart money isn't staying in bricks, it's staying fluid. After the 2008 crash, the rules changed. Banks became stricter, but the risk shifted entirely to the consumer. In 2020, we saw a temporary spike in home values, but that was followed by a collapse in supply and a spike in rates. We are now in a frozen market. Sellers can't sell because they'd lose their low rates, and buyers can't buy because prices are detached from reality. This isn't a functioning market, it's a systemic failure. The mortgage system was designed for an expanding population and gentle interest rates. In an era of stagnant wages and economic volatility, it has become a contract of bondage, and that is why the smartest Americans are simply opting out. While you were scrolling through Zillow, dreaming of a backyard for your kids, someone else was already placing an all-cash offer, 20% above the asking price. But it wasn't another family. It was a multi-billion-dollar algorithm. We are witnessing an invasion of institutional capital into the most sacred space of the American middle class, the single-family home. Massive private equity firms have realized that in a world of inflation, land is the ultimate gold. They aren't just buying houses, they are buying entire neighborhoods before the for sale sign is even hammered into the grass. Names like BlackRock, Blackstone, and Vanguard are usually associated with stock markets and retirement funds. But today, they are your biggest rivals. These titans have access to near infinite capital. When interest rates spiked for you, it didn't stop them. They don't need a mortgage, they pay in cash. By 2030, experts predict that institutional investors could own 40% of all single-family rental homes in the US. This is the secret of the modern economy. The game is being shifted from an ownership society to a rentership society. They want to own the roof over your head, and they want you to pay them for it forever. This is the rebirth of modern feudalism. In the Middle Ages, lords owned the land and peasants paid to live on it. Today, the lords are corporations and the peasants are the educated middle class. Why buy a house and build equity when the system can force you to pay a monthly fee for life? This is why smart Americans are stopping. They see the writing on the wall. They know that buying into an inflated market controlled by giants is a losing battle. The American dream is being dismantled piece by piece and replaced by a subscription model for life. You will own nothing and be happy that was the warning. And for millions, it's becoming the reality. But the housing crisis isn't just about spreadsheets and bank accounts. It is tearing at the very fabric of human connection. For generations, marriage and homeownership went hand in hand. You got married, you bought a house, and you started a family. Today, that sequence is broken. For Gen Z and millennials, marriage has shifted from a romantic milestone to a terrifying financial risk. When you are burdened with six-figure student loans and a rental market that eats 50% of your paycheck, adding a spouse and a child feels like financial suicide. We are witnessing a marriage strike, not because people don't want love, but because they can't afford the entry fee to a traditional life. In this new era, the smartest move for many isn't building a nest. It's simply surviving the storm. Why is this happening so aggressively in America? The secret lies in our credit culture. In the US, your entire life, your home, your car, your ability to rent is tied to a 3-digit number, your credit score. We are taught to spend money we don't have to impress people we don't like. Contrast this with the continental approach in many parts of Europe. There, the culture of saving is king. In countries like Germany or Switzerland, renting for life is not a sign of failure. It's a standard lifestyle. They don't have the same obsession with 30-year debt traps. Their education is cheaper, their healthcare is covered, and their smart citizens prioritize living over owning. While Americans are locked in a race to own a pile of bricks, the rest of the world is realizing that true wealth is the freedom to move, to travel, and to breathe without a bank's shadow over their head. So, why did smart Americans stop buying homes? Because they realized that in 2025, a house is no longer an asset, it's a contract of bondage. They have understood the Continental Secret, that in a volatile, fast-moving world, liquidity is power. They are choosing to invest in themselves, in their businesses, and in their experiences, rather than sinking their life's work into an inflated, corporate-controlled housing market. The American dream isn't dead. It has evolved. It's no longer about a white picket fence. It's about the freedom to walk away from a rigged game. As we close this investigation, ask yourself, are you buying a home for your future, or are you buying it for the bank's profit? The choice, as always, is yours. We are entering the era of the liquid citizen. For 100 years, wealth was measured by how many bricks you owned. But in 2026, the definition of wealth has fundamentally shifted. Smart money is no longer parking itself in a 30-year debt trap. Instead, Americans are moving toward high liquidity assets. They are choosing index funds, high-yield digital assets, and private equity investments that can be liquidated in seconds, not months. The secret they've realized is simple. In an unstable world, the person who can move their wealth across borders with a single click is the one who truly owns their life. Bricks and mortar are heavy. Freedom is weightless. This is where the Continental Secret truly comes into play. Thousands of smart, high-earning Americans are practicing what economists call global arbitrage. They earn American dollars but live in Europe, Southeast Asia, or Latin America. Why pay $4,000 a month for a cramped apartment in New York when that same money buys a villa and a high-quality life in a country with better infrastructure and lower costs? By refusing to buy into the inflated U.S. housing market, they've unlocked a life of luxury that their parents couldn't imagine. They are no longer citizens of a zip code, they are citizens of the world. They aren't escaping the American dream, they are upgrading it. The final lesson of this investigation is about opportunity cost. Every dollar you send to a bank for interest is a dollar that isn't working for you. While the masses are fighting over overpriced suburbs, the top 1% of the new generation is building portable wealth. They've understood that the most valuable real estate in the 21st century isn't under your feet, it's between your ears. Knowledge, mobility, and the courage to break free from outdated traditions are the only assets that can't be foreclosed on. The housing market may be a trap, but for those who know the secret, the exit door has never been wider. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden mechanics of the housing collapse. The world is changing faster than ever, and at Continental Secrets, we are dedicated to bringing you the truths that the mainstream ignores. The American dream isn't dead, it has simply evolved. In 2026, we have to face a bitter truth. A house is no longer a guaranteed asset for many, it has become a financial cage. We've uncovered the hidden $24,500 annual drain, the corporate takeover by Wall Street, and a mortgage system that belongs in the past. We are entering a new era where ownership is becoming a luxury of the elite, while the smart money chooses mobility and freedom. So, we leave you with one final question. Is a home still your dream, or is it the bank's greatest product? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. This is Continental Secrets. Stay smart, stay liquid. We'll see you in the next investigation.